Okay, hello gents, and welcome back. So, the semifinals of the FIBA Asia Cup 2022 are over, and I'm here to analyze and give my reviews on it. The first one I actually didn't like too much, with the game between New Zealand and Australia. In fact, I think I fell asleep in a couple of parts. There was a struggle, but in general, I would consider the first game to be a bit boring. The surprise, so if we look at the teams from both sides, the game actually happened quite a bit as I expected. In the previous videos, I talked about how uh, New Zealand is an inexperienced young team, and it was absolutely shown here in this game. Australia was very systematic, and they shot the ball really, really well. In fact, different players managed to score 3 points in different ways, and they were very effective. Maker actually didn't participate as much as I would like him to. Like I said, inconsistency became a big problem for New Zealand, but for the New Zealand also had an X factor here in this game. A guy called Jordan Hunt. He scored lots of 3 points. He became the main scorer for a while, and I think he was the main scorer at the end for for New Zealand. McCarron played his best game at this game for New Zealand boys and girls. He was quite effective. Yeah, this was kind of the game that your veteran players actually needed to step up a bit. So he took that position seriously. And yeah, in general, the first half performance from Australia was just excellent. They were very systematic. They scored really well. The first half, I mean, the score was 49-37 in favor of Australia. Basically, New Zealand couldn't, how shall I say, follow Australia along too much. Of course, yeah. Also, I think the biggest reason for this was the patient offense of Australia. I think because of the youthfulness, because of the energy, the desire in the New Zealand team, they didn't really play with too much patience. They just wanted to go out and score, but in the end, I think here in this match, you needed to be a little bit more patient while you were conducting your offenses. Again, in in New Zealand, Flynn Cameron played a very good game, one of the best. I just love that guy. I mean, he's such a talented young player. He can do anything when the situation requires. He can shoot the three. He can sorry, get the rebound. He can do the hustle, the play the physical game, and he can do anything for his team. And he plays with a lot of heart. I mean, I think I talked about this before as well. He puts his everything. He doesn't mind falling down, getting hurt for his team. All the physical aspects. So yeah, he's just an excellent player and a very good future addition, I should say, for the Tall Blacks in general. Easy turnovers and impatience, these are the two critical things that I think killed the game for New Zealand, I think. Yeah, they had so many. I mean, at one point, I remember Australia stole back to back, I think, three balls from New Zealand and made like two easy fast break baskets with them. So that was a big problem for New Zealand. And in the end, um, every player in the Australian team did his job well. I mean, if you look at it, I think they had like maybe 4 or 5 players in double figures. Many of them scored. Many of them did the job that they're required to do. They had very good, very effective 3-point shots. So yeah, in general, Australia worked like clockwork, and yeah, New Zealand couldn't really follow along too much. So I think this makes me feel like Australia has the biggest chance in the final game as well if they can continue playing this systematic, well balanced game that they are playing. Of course, their bigs were still very good. Wake didn't play as effective as the other games. Pinder and Froling played quite well. I just love Froling. He's such an effective big guy. He reminds me a bit of his playing style reminds me a bit of Vlade Divac back in the day. You kind of expect not too much, things from a body that size, but when he gets the ball, when he dishes the assist, shoots the ball, he becomes such a different kind of player. So yeah, Froling is like that. So yeah, the final score for the first semi-final game was Australia 85, New Zealand 76. Australia deservedly won the game, and but I should say this shouldn't um, dissuade New Zealand because this young, I was very impressed with this young roster they brought to this championship, and if they can add a couple of more, maybe more experienced players as a kind of like a bonding player or bonding players for these group of players, I think they would in the future this team would go to very good places. But they should, I think, yeah, they should add a couple of more experienced players to this roster, and it will be, I think, quite a unbeatable, quite a formidable roster in general. Now let's go to the second. Let's look at the second semifinal. I think this was the better match of the day in general, and I was expecting this to be the case. I mean, Lebanon and Jordan, they're like equally matched in basically every single way, and we saw that throughout the game. Jordan kind of again, it was an eventful game. There were several instances of action, technical fouls, ejections, and Uh, Jordan during the game lost Al which became quite a disadvantage for them, especially in the second half through injury. And their other big guy Hussein was ejected, which I think was a very stupid thing for to do on Hussein's part. He didn't really need to do that kind of behavior towards Al Darvish, but if you guys ask my opinion, I think in that instance, in that event, both Eldarovich and Hussein needed to be ejected. I mean, if you look carefully, Eldarovich also is kind of trying to, punch Hussein in the face as well. So I think the referees, were a little bit lenient towards Eldarovich, which actually did affect the game in the other parts of the game because Eldarovich played quite effectively, drained some very critical 3-point shots. So yeah, I think while the biggest fault in the altercation was Hussein's, I also thought Al Darwich should also have needed to be ejected at the same time as well. So if you want fairness in this life, I think you have to look at the issues from both sides. And I think, yeah, while I think the referee's decision was ultimately true, I think they kind of saved, I should say, Lebanon, or took Lebanon kind of out of the depth with by not ejecting El Darvish at the same time. Now, at the beginning of the game, Arakci and Arlich started quite nicely for Lebanon. In fact, while I was in my previous video, I discussed this. I said one of the most important things that Jordan needs to do, especially at the beginning of the game, is make sure they can guard Arledge really well, and they couldn't. Actually, at the beginning they couldn't, but throughout the game they actually managed to uh, guard Arledge more effectively. But this was also because of Arledge's foul trouble as well. Zayed Abbas started the game very nicely for Jordan. In fact, I think in the first quarter he had like 8 points or something like that. I want to actually also mention a kind of an underrated player in Lebanon, a guy called Hayat or Kayat. He's a very young fellow. He's, I think, about 20 years old or something like that. But he impresses me so much. I mean, when I look at him, I see a basketball player. So, so he was like kind of born to play this game. His physique, his appearance. If he can develop his shooting abilities a little bit more going forward, he can really jump. I mean, I saw some of his highlight plays from sorry, I saw some of his highlight plays from his previous games in the World Cup qualifiers as well. So yeah, he has a very good leaping ability. If he can improve his shooting, he's also a very good defender. Also, is not afraid to take the hits. He's a very physical guy as well. So I love that guy, and if he develops his shooting a little bit more, I think he will be a very good all-around basketball player in the future. Freddie Ibrahim, I was kind of scared at the beginning. He did make a little bit too much of useless turnovers for Jordan. Abu Hawas has had for Jordan had a very good game. It was his best. I think he finished the game as the highest scorer for Jordan, if I remember correctly. He scored I think 22 or 24 points. It was his best player. In fact, the funny thing is for both teams, um, especially for Jordan, though, this is more correct for Jordan, supporting players actually took on a bigger role in this game than their main scorers. I mean, for a long time for Jordan, guys like Freddie Ibrahim and Aldavari wasn't even available for the second half, and their American Dar Tucker, they couldn't score at all. The scoring job was done by the sporting guys of Jordan. Abu Havas, Zaid Abbas, Bzai actually shot quite effective 3 points. I think he shot 4 or 5 3 points. So the supporting players actually took on a more main role in this game for Jordan especially. But the same was true for Lebanon as well. Actually, I mean, everybody was expecting Arakchi to be the main guy, Arakchi and Arlich to be the main scorers for um, Lebanon. And yes, while Arakchi was a main scorer in the game, also other players like the Ibrahim, for example, their big guy, scored quite effectively. Also, uh, the other guy, El Darvish, was quite effective in the game as well in terms of scoring. El Darvish, El Chamoun was not bad. He drained a couple of 3 points. So yeah, all around we can say for both teams, their um, supporting players also stepped up to the plate because they understood the importance of this game. And the ending was the ending was kind of very thrilling. It led to the last basically possession. Jordan this time Jordan couldn't make the last possession, so they lost the game unfortunately. What else can I say? Yeah, Aldavari not playing for the second half of the game actually quite had a negative effect on Jordan. I mean, also because Hussein was ejected, they only had one basically big guy left, and in fact, at the beginning I said the biggest advantage of Jordan against Lebanon would be the big guys, but unfortunately these negative events for the big guys of Jordan actually made them lose this advantage during the game. And yeah, in the second half, because Aldavari was also unable to play, Freddie Ibrahim started to take a more effective role for Jordan in terms of offense and scoring. Abu Hawas again played really well, but I think again another big problem for Jordan, especially specifically regarding this game, was they missed too many free throws. And if you look at the close score at the end of the game, yeah, these missed free throws actually basically lost them the game, we could say, because it was only a 1 point game in the end. And if they actually made some of those very critical, especially at the last couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, they missed. I think Dar Tucker missed one, and Abu, sorry, Abbas missed one as well. So yeah, those were very critical free throw misses from Jordan that actually, yeah, like we said, cost them probably cost them the game. The final score, so Jordan 85, Lebanon 86. I think Lebanon deserved to go to the finals. The finals will be between Australia and Lebanon, and the third place game will be between New Zealand and Jordan. If I have to speculate on these games, the finals, I think Australia will beat Lebanon because Lebanon spent a little bit too much effort in this semi-final game. I think they spent too much energy, and Australia has quite a solid defense. So I feel like they will be able to defend Arakchi quite well, and because they have very solid big guys underneath the paint, underneath the basket, they will, I think, also be able to get rid of Arledge's effectiveness as well. I think if there is a surprise for Lebanon against um, Australia, it would be guys like Hayat and Eldar, which may be secondary players who don't score too much. If they can get going, if they can find a form in terms of offense, maybe that will make take the game towards more Lebanon side. But I feel like Australia has the better chance here to win this championship. And unfortunately for the third place game, it's something of a basketball player's, mindset that they don't really concentrate. The truth is they don't really concentrate on the third place matches. So I feel like New Zealand will get this because Jordan has, again, Jordan spent too much effort and they Al got injured, and I think during the game Dar Tucker also had uh, a couple of injuries as well. So I feel like both teams will not give too much importance to the third place game, but I feel like New Zealand is the team that looks like it's going to take the third place game. So so my predictions are Australia is going to win the tournament and New Zealand is going to be the winner of the third place match. All in all, I think it was a very physical tournament, lots of ejections, lots of physical struggle. Was there really quality basketball? Maybe not always, but I feel like the physicality of the game kind of made up for the lack of finesse or the lack of quality in the games in general. And if you enjoy your basketball more as like a struggle or like a battle, I think you would have enjoyed this tournament in general. Personally, I enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed the last couple of games much more, the semifinals and the quarterfinals, especially much more than the group games. But in general, yeah, I think it was a good tournament, and hopefully in the future we will have similar good Asia Cups in the future as well. So thanks, guys. Something's wrong with my throat. Hopefully, it's not serious, guys. So I'll go and drink some water, I think, to clear my throat. And I will see you guys after the finals. Currently, I don't know when the finals will be played. Maybe in 2 days, I think. And I will also give my opinion about that, my review of that after it's played as well. I would be surprised, if Lebanon manages to win over Australia in the final. I mean, yeah, this is basketball; anything can happen. Could happen, but Australia looks like the more favorites here. But you should never leave a team like Lebanon out of the picture. I mean, guys like Arakshi. Arakshi is such a, I mean, he's a very good human being as well. At the end of the game, I mean, he went to Freddie Ibrahim. He basically, shared his feelings, and that was such a fair play business. I mean, he's not only a very good basketball player, he's also a very good human as well. So I take my hat off to Arakshi. So I hope he continues to be a very successful player in the future as well. I think I see, if he wants to I think Arakshi can easily play in a much more prestigious league like the Euro League or even in the NBA if he can. I mean, the last basket, Arakshi actually scored the final basket, the one that put Lebanon in front. And I mean, you guys need to watch that basket. It was such a skillful, and only a guy like Arakshi could score a basket like that. It was a kind of like a running floater that was so skillfully done. I mean, anybody else try doing that kind of floater will probably have missed that shot, but not Arakshi. In fact, I could easily say Arakshi is the best player in modern basketball who can do the floaters so effectively. Back in the day, Tony Parker used to do very effective floaters, and now I think I can easily say that Arakshi is the best player who does the floaters in basketball, guys. So thanks again for listening and watching to me, and I'll see you guys later. The king is out.